Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. We were talking about beginner moves today, right? So if you follow the other tutorials, I said you should master this basic turtle freeze as a beginner. And I also said you should master the handstand. Today we're going to talk about that handstand. It's very simple and very hard at the same time. So as a complete beginner, a good way to practice it is just on the wall, so you know what is actually up, because a lot of times, at least as for kids, they are not completely straight while they try that handstand, might have to do something with fear. You can start with the wall. Now, talking about the handstand, as a complete beginner, try to keep your arms all the way straight, and there's a reason for it, and that's because if your hands are straight, you cannot fall, which is of course scary. So let's say I'm on my hands and I pull my hands away, or I bend my hands, that will happen, right? But if my hands stay straight, I actually physically can't fall. And people are always scared of falling to the back, but there's a simple solution to that too. As you fall to the back, you just let go with one hand and you automatically fall on your feet. So there's nothing really to be scared about. Okay, guys, let's talk about this handstand. As a beginner, the best way is to not learn something like a press handstand or a frog freeze to a handstand. And there's a simple reason for this. As a beginner, that's way too hard for you, right? Maybe if your body can do that, do it, but as a beginner, it's very hard. So we're not going to do this today. In fact, we're going to do the most simple way. You put your hands under your shoulders, and like I said, they are completely straight. Then I put one leg in the front and one leg in the back. And what I'm going to do, as I bend this leg slightly to put my hands down, I throw the back leg all the way to the roof. To the roof. And also go back, right? So don't just stay in the handstands for now, just go back. So again, to the roof and back, right? Very simple. That's the way you go up. You can practice this again on the wall. Now, as a beginner, really only practice on the wall. As a starter, then you want to go away from the wall. There's a reason for this. It's because there's no wall in the b-boy jam, right? You want to learn a freehand handstand, of course. Now, that's the basic way to get up. Now, then all you have to do is make different poses with the body. In this case, I'm just going to put my legs completely straight. Right, so I'm going to do a handstand, and my legs are just straight towards the roof. So that's a simple one. Try to reach that one. Another good one is if you push your legs wide. Very simple. So go on the hands, wide. Okay. So now, how do you stay in that handstand? How you practice? First of all, it's not really necessary to master a complete handstand. For break, if you walk around a little bit, but you can stay up, that's actually not that bad, but I prefer it that you master it, that you can easily stand 10 or 20 seconds. Now, how do we do this? It's very simple. As you're standing in that handstand and you're actually falling over, for instance on the back, what you do is you grab the floor with your fingertips and push yourself back towards the handstand. So I'm falling. No, I'm not falling because I'm fighting. Now, this is also a good indication if you are doing this correctly, because if your hand is doing this, you're doing way too little, right? Really fight that you fall over. Keep the fingers as wide as you can and fight that falling. Now, if you fall back to the feet, there are two tricks that you can do to fix that. But as a beginner, the way to do that is to push with the bottom of your hands and hold yourself, and then push yourself back to that handstand. So whenever you're falling to the front, to the back, you just fight. As a beginner, you try this and it doesn't immediately work, but you just gotta do this every time you practice your handstand, right? Or other tricks. It's not just, you always work like that. So when you fall, you try to fight that you fall, right? Now, I talked about another way to do this, but this is actually more advanced, and that's basically means you always push up, right? If you keep pushing up, you cannot fall forward again because you're pushing the other way. But that's too hard for beginners. We're not going to talk about that one. Now take a quick look at my hands. This is a bit of a bad floor because it's soft. But just take a look at the hands and see me work. Here I'm going to the handstand, trying to stay. I'm actually working here, pushing with the fingers, working, pushing, right? And that's the way you stay. Now the last thing is a lot of people do handstands like this. And this is not a good handstand, and there's a reason for it. My hands are not up. There's two things you can do. Either lean back, or you can simply lift those hands. Both ways are good. Guys, practice your handstand as much as you can. You don't just have to do handstands, of course, but that's an important basics. Moves like elbow freeze, headstand, all that stuff is basically just a handstand but lower and easier in my opinion. And handstand is also the highest move, right? So that's why it's also important to have. So if you can go, let's say, from a swipe to a handstand, you mastered it, right? If you can do from flare to a handstand, you mastered it. That's why it's an important move. Guys, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you another time.